lockdown comes into force from today. 11 deaths and 2,249 new cases of COVID-19 are registered in the last 3 days in the Sultanate. The Royal Hospital succeeds in conducting a rare surgical procedure by removing a fetus from inside a fetus. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail. The decision of the COVID-19 Supreme Committee to impose a 2-week nationwide partial night lockdown from 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. comes into force from today, March 28th to Thursday, April the 8th. The decision also includes preventing the movement of individuals and vehicles during this period. Security points also will be activated between the governorate, and movement from and to will be banned during the closure period. Experts say that the period from April 1st to May 31st in the Sultanate is very crucial in combating the virus spread, and in order to avoid the worst, the Supreme Committee will take a series of more severe and imprehensive measures that may reach a total lockdown and completely prevent movement during the mentioned period. Some activities have been exempted from the night lockdown regulations, which include transport of healthcare personnel, emergency vehicles involved in electricity and water services. Even private hospitals as well as pharmacies can continue to function as regulated by the Ministry of Health. The operations at seaports and airports can continue, while trucks of all types from 3-ton and above and water and wastewater tankers have also been exempted from the ban. Factories can operate while loading and unloading operations can be carried out and inside, but employees must stay on the premises. Fuel stations will remain open as regulated by the Ministry of Commerce and Industry and Investment Promotion in coordination with the marketing companies. Employees working in the press and media organizations, both public and private, whose job requires them to be at work during the ban period will be exempted, and the Ministry of Information will provide them with the required permits. All classes for students attending government schools will continue online, with the exemption of grade 12 students who will remain with the blended learning system. This might change on the basis of the epidemiological situation in the country. 2-week nationwide partial night lockdown is to start tonight from 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. People across the country will not be allowed outside their homes during this period. More details in the following report.
Night lockdown across the Sultanate is due to commence in just less than 1 hour, where people throughout Oman will not be allowed to venture outside their homes from 8 p.m. to 5 p.m. for a period of 12 days. The Supreme Committee on COVID-19 decided to impose the lockdown due to the wake of a sudden increase of COVID-19 cases in the country, the growing number of patients admitted to hospitals and intensive care units, and the surge in the number of deaths. Health experts are predicting the period from April 1st to May 31st to be an extremely tough stage of the pandemic's development in the country. The Supreme Committee was compelled to take these measures so that things do not worsen in the coming weeks. The Supreme Committee will take a series of tougher and more comprehensive measures that might culminate in a lockdown and a total ban on movement during the same period. The activities that have been excluded from the night closure, the movement of health workers, emergency vehicles, service vehicles, electricity and water only, private hospitals, pharmacies working the night shift, and the activities at airports and land ports. Also excluded from the decision are truck weighing 3 tons or more, water tankers, sewage, water tankers loading and unloading at factories and warehouses, movement of workers outside the facility during the lockdown hours is impermissible. Fueling stations applying the shift system through the Minister of Commerce, Industry and Investments Promotion in cooperation with the fuel marketing companies and oil fields. Employees of the press and the media outlets, both public and private, whose work nature requires them to attend the workplace during the night lockdown hours, will be provided with the permission by the Ministry of Information. People need to be united at this particular time to be vigilant in preventing transmission of coronavirus by following all preventive measures. Abdullah bin Ahmed Al-Rubai, Sultanate of Oman Television, Muscat.
The Ministry of Health announced that 2,249 new cases of COVID-19 have been registered in the last 2 days in the Sultanate, bringing the total number to 156,887 cases. The total number of deaths reached to 1,661. The total recovered cases reached 142,420, which is 91% of the total recovery rate. The ministry indicated that the total number of inpatients reached 466, among which 145 are in intensive care units. His Excellency Dr. Ahmed bin Mohammed Al Saeedi, Minister of Health, issued a ministerial decision establishing a national program to regulate the transfer and transportation of human organs and tissues. The program aims to achieve the principles established in the field of human organ and tissue transplantation and to contribute to the development of clinical scientific research, in addition to working on implementing the recommendations of technical committee to regulate the practice of transferring and transplanting human organs and tissues. The national program is concerned with participating in the development of guidelines, treatment, clinical protocols and ethics of practice in the field of human organ and tissue transfer, and the establishment of a base that includes the registration of organ deficiencies and the data of organ and tissue donors. The Department of Pediatric Surgery at the Royal Hospital has performed a rare surgery, which is the removal of a fetus from inside a fetus, a condition that is considered rare in the world because it is done in exceptional circumstances. The operation was performed on an 8-month-old child, and after 3 days of the operation, the tests and indicators that proved the success of this qualitative operation were verified, and the child was allowed to leave the hospital. It is noteworthy that this medical phenomenon occurs by 1 in 500,000 live births worldwide. During this COVID-19 pandemic time, nurses and all healthcare workers across the Sultanate have strived to function efficiently, encouraging preventive and primary care and improve the services of its quality. More details in the following report by Abdullah bin Ahmed Al-Rubai.
From the beginning of the outbreak, healthcare providers in the Sultanate and around the world have shown more support, solidarity and gratitude than they ever have. Here in the Sultanate, nurses and all healthcare workers have strived to function efficiently, encouraging preventive and primary care and improve its quality, while others who are at the education field made sure that learning continued using Higher Institute for Health Specialty online facilities to guarantee healthcare staff are up to date in various areas of healthcare specialties, including COVID-19. By doing so, the impact of various factors on the prevalence of stress, anxiety, and depression in many of the hospital staffs who are directly providing care for COVID-19 patients were controlled to some extent. Thanks to the special attention given by the concerned healthcare authority and decision maker to all frontline healthcare workers caring for COVID-19 patients and others. The special attention indeed resulted in increasing the productivity of the hospital staff, speeds up the measure to control the pandemic, and provides more effective treatment procedures for the COVID-19 patients as well as other various conditions. However, it should be noted that though healthcare staff and authorities continue to strive to function efficiently in providing quality care, the importance of following the precautionary measures by the public is necessary so that good working environment of less stress could be maintained.
As a nurse, we are committed in providing care to all the time. COVID-19 is a serious. As a critical care nurse, we received patients daily. Some do make it, alhamdulillah, and some are not. We feel and we are very affected. Please help us to save you and to save us and to save all.
It's worth mentioning that international online courses in various nursing specialties have been made available by the Oman Nursing Association, the association of which it plays a vital role in shaping, improving, building nursing profession and developing health systems. At the same time, it plays a critical advocacy role on behalf of the nursing workforce to ensure their support and protection at all times.
The Environment Authority and the Public Establishment for Industrial Estates has signed a cooperation program to provide a specialized environmental cadre in Madain industrial cities. More details in the following report by Ahmed bin Mahmoud Al-Hinai.
To raise the level of services provided to investors by speeding up and simplifying procedures and providing a safe business environment, the Public Establishment for Industrial Estates, Madain, signed on a cooperation program with the Environment Authority to develop an institutional framework for coordination and facilitate procedures for investors and business owners in all Madain industrial cities to obtain the necessary environmental permits for their projects through the Service Centre Masar, in accordance with the provisions of the regulation organizing the issuance of the environmental permits.
Signed a program of cooperation in between Environment Authority and Madain this morning. This program targeting to make the procedures of investment more easier than before and make it automatically issuing through providing staff which belong to Environment Authority in Madain area. This program will push forward actually the initiative of making the procedures more easier and also to avoid any environmental impact could be happen in the industrial areas.
The program seeks to provide a specialized environmental cadre which is present on an ongoing basis in the industrial cities, in addition to reducing the operation costs of the investors by ensuring that they apply the environmental standards in all stages of production.
We have signed this agreement with the Environmental Authority to provide these services to the investors within the industrial city, facilitate the license and the approvals that is required for those license, and also mainly to provide the high quality of inspection process within our industrial estates that will end up with an ideal environment for the investment to grow within our industrial cities.
The Public Establishment for Industrial Estates achieved positive results at the end of last year through the remarkable growth in its various numerical indicators, as the total volume of investments for projects in Madain exceeded 6.8 billion Omani riyals, the number of workforce in it exceeded 62,000 workers, and the number of projects invested up to this point, according to the various construction stages, is about 2,400 projects.
Still to come in our news bulletin. The beautiful, diverse and natural scenes in Al Farah village in the Wilaya of Al Rostaq, with water flow throughout the year, makes it a stunning touristic destination. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television, and now for the international world. More than 320 ships waited to travel through the Suez Canal this morning, either to the Mediterranean or Red Sea, according to the Canal Services Farm Lath agencies. Dozens of others still listed their destination at the Suez Canal, although shippers increasingly appeared to be avoiding the passage. The skyscraper seized Ever Given carrying cargo between Asia and Europe ran aground on Tuesday in the narrow man-made canal dividing continental Africa from the Sinai Peninsula. Even with the aid of high tides, authorities have been unable to push the Panama-flagged container vessel aside. One woman was killed and 5 others were wounded in a stabbing at a public library located near a busy shopping area of a Vancouver suburb yesterday. The police said that they had the lone suspect in custody. The attack occurred in early afternoon, and the investigators appealed for witnesses, especially those who had shot videos that later posted on social media. Police said 6 victims sustained injuries and 1 victim who unfortunately died. Authorities say that the suspect in his 20s who had had interactions with the police in the past. There is currently no information about the motive. On Twitter, Canadian Public Safety Minister Bill Blair expressed shock and sadness over the incident, calling it a senseless act of violence. The Public Authority for Special Economic Zones and Free Zones issued a decision regarding the controls for organizing and issuing environmental permits in the Special Economic Zones and Free Zones in the Sultanate. The decision applies to all projects developed in the Special Economic Zones and Free Zones. It specified the procedures for obtaining environmental permits, as well as identified the projects that required preparing a detailed environmental assessment study for their potential impacts. Projects must register the hazardous materials used, manufactured or produced as waste with the concerned department, as well as projects shall obtain the necessary permits to deal with chemicals as per the defined legal standards and controls and the procedures of Basel Convention. It also stressed that the new decision prohibits the import or export of hazardous materials and any hazardous waste listed in the Basel Convention without obtaining a permit from the concerned department at the authority. Petroleum Development Oman has signed 7 agreements to support projects and services provided by the charity and professionals associations. The signing came within the social investment field of the company that harmonized with the United Nations aimed for Sustainable Development 2030 and Oman Vision 2040. The signing ceremony was attended by Her Excellency Leila bin Ahmed Al Najjar, Minister of the Social Development. History of Oman and the culture of Omani people in coexistence with other nations, as well as the Sultanate's success in presenting a global model in dialogue and rejecting all forms of violence and extremism, were reviewed by the documentary Islam Message from Oman, which was broadcasted by agents of France Press AFP. The documentary seeks to introduce the Sultanate role in spreading culture of dialogue and convergence among nations, in addition to providing television items for all editors, news agencies and international TV channels about the civilization contributions of Oman regarding peace, respecting human beings, his belief and faith through Islam Message from Oman exhibition, which toured over 135 cities worldwide. Beauty of nature, water flow from mountains and beautiful diversity of Oman are all captured by Al Farah village in the Wilaya of Rostaq. More details in the following report.
At around 50 kilometers away from the center of the Wilaya of Rostaq in South Al-Batina Governorate, particularly in Wadi As-Sahtan, there is a stunning village that encapsulates all details of beauty and glamour, to say the least. It is Al-Farra'a village, which is located in the foothill of Jabal Shams. Since ancient times, Al-Farra'a village has been a meeting point for travelers between the Wilaya of Al-Hamra and the Wilaya of Al-Rostaq.
Al-Farra'a is called because it's located near two wadis, or two valleys in English. And these two valleys, one is coming from Wajma village and the other one is from Al-Awantain. And these two connected to Al-Farra'a. So our houses or the village itself is located nearby the valleys. Al-Farra'a is called the connecting point to the traveler from the South Al-Batina, especially from Wilayat Rostaq, those going to Al-Hamra and Misfa and Nazwa and Bahla.
Another name for Al-Farra'a village is the village of water springs, because it is distinguished by a numerous number of natural water springs that originate from the mountains. The abundance of water all year round in Al-Farra'a village enabled people to plant various crops and fruit trees, including date palm trees, lemon, mango, quince, banana, and berries. The density of the evergreen trees, besides its geographical location, gave the village a moderate climate, especially in the summer.
We have numerous actually trees, palm trees, and we have lemon, mangoes, and a lot of different other trees. Fortunately, this village is numerous of water springs and originate from the mountain, and we have many of them in the village, and it's non-stop the whole year. Even in the worst weather dryness, it's still going on.
Residents of Al-Farra'a village use stone walkways and stairs to reach their houses, which have been built at such a height on the hills, offering a spectacular panoramic view. Al-Farra'a village has earned most of the basic services, including electricity, water, communications, and education. Its residents look forward to seeing more tourism services to turn this charming village into a favorite touristic attraction. From Al-Farra'a village, Saleh bin Khalfan al-Rahbi, Wilaya of Al-Rostaq, South Al-Batina Governorate.
This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. The decision of the COVID-19 Supreme Committee to impose a 2-week nationwide partial night lockdown comes into force from today. 11 deaths and 2,249 new cases of COVID-19 are registered in the last 3 days in the Sultanate. And the Royal Hospital succeeds in conducting a rare surgical procedure by removing a fetus from inside a fetus. And with that, we end tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the studios and the newsroom, it's good night. We insist you follow the precautionary measures of wearing face masks, washing hands, and keeping physical distance from each other. Thank you.